For former leader Fidel Castro is on the move yet again in Cuba. That caravan carrying his ashes left Grandma this morning.
The procession of more than 500 miles began in Havana and is expected to end this afternoon in Santiago de Cuba, the final resting place for Fidel Castro.
Local 10 has been on the island nation since news of the 90-year-old's death first broke a week ago today.
We have crews set up in Santiago de Cuba. Local 10's Calvin Hughes is standing by. Glenna Milberg is also there with him.
What a week it's been, Calvin. Good morning.
Oh yes, it has been a long weekend. Tomorrow, the National Day of Mourning will end at exactly noon. But right now, this is the epicenter of activity at the main plaza here in Santiago de Cuba. Take a look right behind me. They are still going at it, putting up the stage and the barricades for crowd control there. And they're also setting up the speakers, but you can see the hammering and the work continues. This place has been under construction once again around the clock as workers try to prepare for that mass rally, which is only hours away. It begins at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be similar to the one that happened back in Havana on Tuesday. World leaders are going to be on hand. Thousands also will attend the rally, and that one lasted for about 3 hours and 45 minutes. More than a dozen dignitaries spoke from many nations in Africa and in the Latin Americas. And this morning, there was also some political activity out here as well. There was a rally that took place when our cameras arrived to protest where it appeared to be pro-Fidel Castro. Let's take a look at the procession and the so-called Caravan of Liberty. This is video of Castro's ashes being loaded into a truck just after 7 o'clock this morning. The caravan took off from the province of Granma on its journey here to Santiago de Cuba. That's about an 80-mile journey, and the expectation is that the caravan will arrive here in Santiago at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. People lined the streets and waved flags, and historically speaking, Granma is the name of the famous yacht that was used to transport 82 fighters of the Cuban Revolution from Mexico to Cuba in November of 1956 for the purpose, of course, of overthrowing the government of the dictator Bautista. Let's take it now to Holguín. This is happening last night as Castro's remains passed through yesterday. That's the province where Castro is from. Thousands of people lined the streets to salute the former leader, and children shouted, "Fidel, my friend, the people are with you." Quotes from the children in Holguín. Let's take it back now to Santiago as the rally once again is only hours away. Workers have been working around the clock once again to put on what is a good spectacle for world leaders. This was certainly the case once again in Havana, and right now you can see that the work is still going on. We saw some children out there yesterday putting down some chairs too away from their classes to put down the chairs in front of our TV cameras. Let's fast forward now to Sunday, where Castro will be interred at the Santa Efigenia Cemetery, not far from here. It's a long way though from Havana, but close to Castro's roots, and another well-known Cuban freedom fighter and a fighter of independence, Jose Marti, who is buried under a large mausoleum. And we also have an official guest list now of those who will be in attendance at tomorrow's funeral, mostly from Latin American countries, those left-leaning nations that include Nicaragua and Venezuela and Argentina. Just about every head of state is going to be here, but also the former Spanish king, Juan Carlos I, Castro's wife, Dalia, and his 11 children. Some of them are expected to be on hand. That'll be a rare public appearance for them. And Hollywood actor Danny Glover. But someone who will not be in attendance will be Castro's estranged sister, Juanita Castro, who is a Miami exile. She says she will not be here in Santiago for the funeral of her father, Fidel Castro, who died last Friday at the age of 90. Coming up at the top of the hour, Glenna Milberg will join me to talk about a dissident that she spoke with last night who had a lot to say about maintaining their efforts to try to get human rights, free elections, and a free and open press here in the country. We're going to hear from him, and we'll have a lot more coming about all of the preps that are happening here at Santiago at the top of the hour. But for now, I'm Calvin Hughes, reporting live from Santiago de Cuba. I'll send it back to you, Todd and Nikki.
Calvin, thank you.
And stay with Local 10 News for continuous team coverage from Cuba with Calvin and Glenna. They are going to continue to bring us live reports from Santiago de Cuba through the weekend as Castro's funeral services do draw to a close. And remember, you can also take us with you live, streaming us on your laptop or your smartphone. We'll also be updating local10.com with all the latest information on the death of Fidel Castro. This morning,